Hey guys, MG here from MG Covers, bringing you a live video today. It's going to be an introduction to contrarian betting, specifically for Major League Baseball. In essence, going against the status quo. So let's get started. Okay, first let's define what contrarian betting is. And what I always like to do in my videos, I like to make things very simple so that you guys can understand it. And rather than having a complex definition, I like to give it in just a very, in its simplest form. So in essence, contrarian betting is betting against the public's popular pick, and not necessarily just going against the public, but going against their popular pick. I'll give you some examples that you might help you to better understand this. If you guys remember Super Bowl 46, Giants were huge dogs. They were -1. They were plus 12. The Patriots were favored by 12. This was the infamous Patriots undefeated season. If you played the Giants on the money line, you could lay $100 and win 475, or 1,000 and win 4750. And so, and to explain it, and of course, the Giants won that. That was the big upset in the Super Bowl 46. So what happens is, in a contrarian betting scenario, you have the Patriots. They were huge favorites because they were undefeated. And what happens is, we talked about this before. In order to get money on the Giants, the sports books knew that they would get a ton of money on the Patriots. So they have to balance the books. Again, they don't make money the way I make money. They're just trying to balance the books so they get even action, and basically split out and take the juice. But they want to have a slight edge. So what they do is they what we call inflate the line. That's the layman's terms, and a lot of people in the sports book business will call it shading the line, which means they overinflate the Patriots line. Probably should have been a touchdown, realistically. It should have been like Pats -6, Pats -7. Instead, it was Patriots -12. And so sharp bettors obviously jumped on the Giants and won that at plus 475. Another example of this was, some of you might not remember this. This is old school for me. This is early 90s. I can't remember the exact year. Buster Douglas was a 38-1 underdog against Mike Tyson. And again, same deal, the sports book. There weren't a lot of sports books that took action on this, but there were a few. And I was researching for this article. You had so in essence, so many people wagered on Mike Tyson. It created this huge spread in the line. Of course, everything, the odds were shaded from Mike Tyson. So there are people that had to lay. I'm not sure what to calculate that. So it's basically 38-1. So you'd have to lay, $380 to win $1. But if you go in the other direction, the contrarian play, you'd only had to bet $1,500 and you would have won $57,000. So again, it's not just necessary contrarian betting. It's not necessarily just going against the public. It's going against that popular pick. And what happens is, because the favorite side is going to be so inflated, so shaded to that side, you're going to get huge value going in the other direction. Okay, so let's look at some examples from Major League Baseball. This is very current. I took this from Thursday, April the 11th. And if you look here, what I want you to look at is wagers. This shows the amount of wagers that are on that game. So 51% of the wagers were on Miami in this game. 49% of the wagers were on Cincinnati. So in this game, this would actually be a no play, because there's not enough wagers to influence the line. Because you can see here, it's 165 for Cincinnati, and it went down to 163. So there's not a lot of value anyway. When we're looking for a nice contrarian play, we're looking for a bigger dispersion in the wagers so that we can get value. Next game is Oakland-Baltimore. You can see Oakland, 62% of the wagers were on Oakland. Baltimore, you had 30% of the wagers, 38% of the wagers were on Baltimore. So if the contrarian play was to play Baltimore, that would have been a loss at -100. I'm just gonna keep a tab for these wagers for today, just so you can see the example. Now, if you do notice, the line opened at +150 and it moved down to +140. I'm going to cover why that happened in another video, but for now, we're just basically looking at the contrarian play. Um, and so let's keep going. Next game, we have Cleveland. 59% of the public was on Cleveland, only 41% on Detroit. Detroit, if we play that game, we'd have lost 100 as well. Now we move on to the next game, Dodgers St. Louis. You had 50%, 55% of the public were playing LA Dodgers, only 45% on St. Louis. So if we play St. Louis, that actually was a win. And if you notice, on these plays, we're playing the dogs. So when we lose, we're not paying any juice, and when we win, we're actually getting dog money plus 121. So even just in these three plays, if you look, you got to be minus 200, and you add in our plus 121. We've lost less than 1 unit so far. So if we keep going, Seattle, Kansas City, we have 61% of the public on Seattle, 39% on KC. That would have been a loss. And you notice there we do get value. Looking at the line, it moved the way we want it to move. It moved from 130, plus 130 to plus 135. And that was because the majority of the public was on Seattle, and I drove that dog money up. Next game, Toronto-Boston. Again, that's a 50-50 game, so toss-up game. So that would have been a no play because there's really no contrarian play because the money is balanced between the two teams. Next game, Mets. 46% of the public were on the Mets. 54% were on the Atlanta Braves there. And you can see you can see what happened to the line there. So we have the majority of the money on Atlanta. So it pushed the dog money from 120 to 125. And so that's a whole key in the contrarian betting. We get more value going against the public because the line opened at plus 120, jumped up to plus 125. So that was a win at plus 125. And again, going back to what I mentioned earlier, when you're winning dog money, and when you're losing, you're only losing you're paying no juice. And then finally, Pittsburgh, Chicago Cubs. You had 56% of the general public were on Pittsburgh, and only 44% were on the Chicago Cubs. And what's interesting, look how much the line moved. It opened at Chicago Cubs minus 145, and it went all the way down to minus 124. So you got a lot of money on Pittsburgh pulling that line down. And again, so that's a juice play, minus 124. So if we won, we would only win 100. So finally, and these were all the games for that specific day. I think it was April 11th. So I'm just going through every single game and how you would look at it and use a contrarian betting style. San Diego, 52% of the public on San Diego, 48% on Arizona. So again, the way I look at a contrarian, that would be a no play for me. So generally, if you're just focusing on contrarian, because there's not enough to really make the line move. In this case, it did move a good bit, but I generally like for it to be bigger. Maybe if you got 55% of the public playing a team, then that means 45% are playing the other team. That should be enough to have some line movement. And again, this might be a 2-part series. And when I talk about contrarian, I'm not sure, but I just want to look at just going against the public's most popular choice, just as sort of an introduction so you can understand it and see what the results would be. And then finally, that last game, again, 52 and 48, not enough for us to really have value in that game. So that would be a no play. So looking at all the results, adding all this up, we had 3 wins, and the money we won was 346. Remember, we had the wins we won were I think 2 dogs and one favorite. And then we had 3 losses. And again, the losses we bet were all dogs. So we only lost $300. And so in essence, we were 3 and 3, 50% winners, but we won $46 for that day. Now, $46, that would be for the $100 bet. It doesn't seem like a lot of money. However, if you multiply that times 30 days of wagering, that gives you $1,380 profit, amateurized. That's a big word, amateurized over a full month. Or for the $1,000 player, the dime player, that'd be $13,800. It's a lot of dough. So that just shows you a way to, even if you don't know anything about handicapping, you can just basically apply a simple contrarian approach to Major League Baseball and more than likely end up profitable. Now, do I personally do this? No, I actually handicap the games because you guys have seen my videos. pretty thoroughly, but I do look at the contrarian play. And if you're handicapping games, and the majority of time when you're handicapping, like if you're handicapping, you have a model and situational angles that you use, and you realize that you say, let's say your plays for today. Okay, I got Atlanta Braves and Colorado, and then when you go look at the consensus, and you realize that the public is playing the games that you were going to play, majority of the time your handicapping model is not good, and majority of the time you're going to lose. You're going to lose money, just like the example you see here. It's more profitable to go in the other direction. So when I'm handicapping, that's generally what I do. And more times than not, I'm generally on the contrarian side anyway. But I do use this as a guide. And because of that, when you're on the contrarian side, you get a huge, huge, huge amount of value, because again, the line is shaded in that direction on the favorite side. And if you go in the opposite direction, you get more value because the line's going to shift. So that's just a basic introduction to contrarian betting applied to Major League Baseball. And we might have a part 2 to this. And quick little promo here. My Major League Baseball special, I'm doing this for probably another week. I said I was only going to do it until Sunday night. So if you're watching this video, you get Major League Baseball season special. You buy 1 month, $149, get 1 month free. So that's basically 60 days of my plays for only $149. So it's great value. As always, just like the contrarian play. If you're interested in that, I got a link below. You can email me, mg@mgcovers.com. If you follow me on Instagram, you can shoot me a DM there. And as always, hey, like the video, subscribe, even share it if you've got friends that would be interested in learning about sports betting. And subscribe to the channel. We're going to have try to have one video on handicapping coming out each week. And I'm also looking at doing a baseball daily show here shortly. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Good luck as always, and we will talk to you guys soon.